peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
Today marks a great day for me, for us in Pan-African Forum UK Limited. Stand above the threats, intimidation, blackmailing that people receive, so as not to speak about what is happening in Somalia. The matter of the Somali link or Somalia link with Qatar must be discussed openly by countries that are taking part in Somalia. The pacification of Somalia, for Somalia to become a state again, there is need for cooperation. The cooperation to bring about peace is more important than the cooperation of countries that are seeking minerals, diamonds, gold, oil, skins, animals, and the rest from Somalia. My organization does not have a share, neither is it seeking to get anything, but to have Somalia and protect the Ugandan and the Kenyan troops, plus Burundian troops, that have gone to do a good job in Somalia. Every time we hear reports of money laundering, some people think it is difficult to find out who has laundered which money, where and how. For us in Pan-African Forum UK Limited, we have networks that have exposed even the ICC before, and we have brought it to its knees for this type of money laundering. Qatar has become the main funder of terrorism in the world. We can now safely agree, and safely agree to the people, the countries, especially those countries like Saudi Arabia, that say Qatar is a terrorist organization. It's not a country. Qatar is funding terrorist activities, coming in as economic saviors of some countries in Africa, while they are sponsoring terror groups that are expanding on the coastal line of the Indian Ocean up to Mozambique. It is therefore my duty as an African and us as Africans to point out these mistakes, such that the people can take these mistakes, correct them, and point out to Qatar to stop funding terror activities. Two, it is also very important for the people of Kenya to know that Al-Shabaab, Eritrea, Ethiopia are trading out a deal that will leave Kenya and Uganda in a mess. It is important that Farimajo should not lie to you that he is not having these deals or these negotiations are not taking place. We have evidence, concrete in black and white, of these meetings that are taking place on a daily basis in one of the capitals of the world called Doha and Asmara. These meetings have been taking place, and they are taking place, and that is why the United Nations Security Council failed to condemn Al-Shabaab as a terrorist group. One would wonder, why condemn the Taliban? Why condemn Boko Haram? But he failed to condemn Al-Shabaab, which has killed us Kenyans, killed us Ugandans, killed Somalis, in hundreds and hundreds. Why? 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 Can a government of Farimajo guarantee our peace? The shooting down of a plane commandeered by Ethiopians who are guarding the ground at the flower, who were told the plane had a humanitarian agency, is very dangerous. There is no diplomacy here. The truth must prevail. Ethiopia should stop engaging itself in activities that are going to create hegemony of the world's hegemony in the region. Thank you very much. God bless all of you. God bless Africa. God bless the Pearl of Africa. God bless Kenya. Keep our troops in Kismayo. Give them strength. Our troops in Mogadishu. Give them strength. We shall, tomorrow or days to come, talk to the owner of the plane that was brought down. We are going to expose all this. We have evidence. It's not local. It is inside. We know what happens and we know what is taking place. Farimajo, Hassan Harriet have become axes of evil. Thank you.
Very good morning to you wherever you are watching us from. This is Punchline Africa TV and the show is Good Morning Africa. You are watching us live from Nairobi, Kenya. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending from where you are watching us from. And of course, today we're going to be discussing a raft of issues that have happened this week. Of course, among them, the Msambweni by-election. And of course, we shall be looking just at the statistics also in matters COVID this morning and be able to look at the newspaper headlines. But before we do that, joining me from Meru is Douglas Kirimi Bundi, who is our resident panelist. Good morning, Douglas.
Good morning, Sean Wesonga in our Punchline studios in Nairobi, and good morning to the crew. Good morning to all our friends across the world, depending on where they are watching us from.
How is Meru County? Maybe if you could just give us an update in terms of weather and the climate this morning.
No, the weather is cool. Everyone is okay. And the only mood that is in the villages in Meru is the Christmas mood in Meru town. Streets lighting and everything. The mood is on Christmas. Everyone is focused on Christmas. That is all that I can say now.
All right, Douglas, thank you for joining us this morning. And also in Nanyuki, we have our very own Javan Karanja joining us this morning. Good morning, Javan, wherever you are. Javan? Okay, he seems to be joining us later on. He's fixing some technical hitches there. So before we get into the items of the day, let me just go straight to the COVID statistics. And I'll start with numbers here in Kenya. And of course, as yesterday, from the updates from the Ministry of Health, Kenya, we had confirmed cases at 92,853. Number of deaths there is 1,614. Recoveries at 74,403. And our neighboring Uganda there, the total confirmed cases at 28,733, deaths at 225, and the total recoveries at 10,070. Douglas, what do you make of those statistics from Kenya and Uganda?
The COVID situation is still ravaging the country, and we pray for the souls that have departed. May God repose their souls in eternal peace. But one of the things that especially Kenyans have not taken serious is the issue of COVID. When you walk into streets, you find people are no longer donning their mask. People no longer wash their hands. In the villages, there are no masks and all that. And that is putting our lives at a greater danger. And remember, COVID is now eating the rural areas where we thought COVID is for people who live in cities and towns.
Yes.
COVID has now ravaged every village now as someone that has died of COVID. Before, people used to ask each other, even in towns and cities, give us someone that has died of COVID. But I've lost close friends, I've lost family members, and people have lost each in their villages and all that. All that we can ask people is that they keep washing their hands, keep sanitizing, and also wearing their mask, because this situation is, we don't know when it is going to end, and we even don't know when the vaccine is coming. But thank God, the government of Kenya has ordered over 24 million doses of COVID vaccine that is coming early next year. But we are also, as the vaccine is also coming to the country, remember, we are more than 24 million. But people should also adhere to the protocols that are given by the World Health Organization and also the Ministry of Health. Sean.
Yes, fantastic there. Of course, Douglas reminding you that, of course, you have to keep those protocols that have been given by the Ministry of Health. Wash your hands, keep social distance, sanitize, and of course, remember to put on that mask whenever you are going into public places. And of course, Douglas, the government has also issued some kind of directive that perhaps those of us who are in the city should not travel up country, just to caution those elderly parents, relatives that we have in up country from contracting the disease. Of course, this is a festive season, and we cannot negate the fact that a majority of us might want or wish to travel home to be able to catch up with the rest of the family. But as it is only safer if we could find a way of celebrating Christmas wherever you are. Remember,
yes,
these are elderly people who are at home, and it will be quite well if we really consider their state of health and not just travel up country. So it is a good thing to say, Douglas?
Yeah, I think people should stay where they are. You know, there is nothing, the feels about Christmas, it's no longer the usual Christmas that we are used to before.
Yes.
We live in unusual times. Our jobs have been changed. People are working from home and all that. Why are you traveling for 2 days so that you can kill your whole village? Remember, you can leave Nairobi or Kisumu or Mombasa or maybe Kampala or Entebbe to your villages. But as you leave the city, you might not be COVID positive, but when you get there, you could have contracted it on the streets and also in the vehicles that you travel in. And remember, the people in the villages are very peaceful. There's no need of taking COVID to them. I think we can postpone Christmas this year, and when COVID is contained, we can get together with our families, we can go hike, we can go have fun in the villages and all that. And remember, it's even a day. Some people will travel 2 or 3 days, and it is not worth it. It's not worth it to travel to your village and go kill your people. Then you spend a huge amount of money going burying them again and all that, and putting the lives of Kenyans and also the rest of the world at risk. So I think people should celebrate from where they are, and that will be enough.
Thank you, Douglas Krimi Bundi there in Meru. And of course, I totally agree with your sentiments that we should give the people in the village, the elderly people in the village, a priority if we love them. And it is our patriotic duty, of course, and also being just a responsible citizen there. And of course, before we delve into other matters, I would just like to give you the global as well as the African figures in terms of COVID before we move on to the other topics. And of course, the total cases in Africa there is at 1,815,111, and number of deaths in Africa as it is right now stands at 71,505, and recoveries in Africa as well impressive there. It's 1,408,222, and global cases stand right now at 74,534,317, and the global deaths there at 1,655,200. 226 global recoveries, as well as they are at 52,372,695, and that is all we have today in terms of the COVID numbers there. And of course, we move with speed to the newspapers headlines. And of course, Douglas, this has been a very, very interesting weeks. A number of by-election going on here and there, and of course, what stood out there was the Msambweni by-election. And on the Daily Nation newspapers, perhaps the headline there is that why Ruto beat Raila in key poll. And of course, that was a very, very hotly contested by-election where Faisal Bader, who was perceived to be an ally of the deputy president, beat Omar Boga of ODM, Raila Odinga's party. What do you make of that particular by-election? What stood out for you?
One thing I think that stood for me is the organization of the team from William Ruto. Even though they were bribing people and all that, they were more organized than the Orange Party, and they campaigned well for their candidate. And also remember that Faisal is also a relative of Suleiman Dori. So we couldn't expect much for that. Let the relative keep that. And for ODM, I also saw that they have accepted their results, but Baba has come out very clearly, and he has also said that they have not lost in Msambweni. Faisal is their member. And also I know that according to Baba and also many people, that Faisal cut his teeth in ODM party. So it's not a loss for ODM. It's a fight for another day. And for the people of Msambweni, let them progress well. And also we wish their new member of parliament all the best. But another thing that stood out for me is that I expected the ODM to win that seat. Very, 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 very. I expected that, including when that guy went to see the president and when Governor Joe camped there. My expectation was that ODM is more organized to go and win that seat, but that was their position to go and lose, and they have lost it. But they will fight another day.
Yeah, fantastic there. And of course, in any contest, be it a football competition, be it a political contest, you always live to fight another day. And that is the spirit of competition. And therefore, on the Daily Nation newspaper, it goes ahead to say that the political optics of it are horrible. Part of the Tinga magic is his presumed invincibility at the cost. Losing Msambweni has all the hallmarks of an electoral disaster. Was the resounding defeat as a result of blunders in his Orange Democratic Movement campaign strategy, or has the party lost its sting? And what does Ruto win mean for 2022? Of course, that will form the basis of our topic today, and we shall be delving into it later on in the show. But of course, just a snippet here, and it says the biggest mistake for them was to bring in the issue of BBI and other national issues, including the handshake to people who weren't interested. So, Douglas, do you think that perhaps if ODM would have discussed on matters that affect the interests and the affairs of the people of Msambweni, rather than talking about the BBI politics and other national issues, just being specific to this kind of electoral segment, will it have made an impact and given them an edge over the independent candidate, Mr. Faisal Bader, if they discussed issues, local issues, rather than getting it into a national perspective? What is your take on that?
This is my take. And also good morning to my friend, Professor Jared Onyari, and also my friend Jevan Karanja from Nanyuki, and also Professor Jared Onyari. Good to see you this morning. This is what I make of that. People in Gaturi, where there was a by-election, they were talking about national issues. People in Rekiview, they were talking about national elections. People in issues. People in Kisumu were talking about national issues. The issue in Msambweni is not here or there. The issue in Msambweni is not about the ODM talking about BBI and all that. We know in politics everything is about to be seen and all that. One thing we can be able to give to the people of Msambweni is that I think the reactive factors that made ODM lose their position and also lose the seat that was occupied by ODM before cannot be attributed to them talking about BBI and also talking about national issues. Remember, the MP is a member of a National Assembly, which is about national politics. That is about national issues and also issues that pertain the national government. When Omar Mboga was taken to president, and also the president instructed the minister for transport to be able to do a few projects in Msambweni and also look at their issues, that is national government getting involved in Msambweni. And also when Omar Mboga and his team and also ODM, when they speak about national politics in Msambweni, it gives the people of Msambweni an hope that when this man or when our candidate gets in, he will be able to foster a good working relationship with the national government. Because remember, talking to the president is not a mean feat. So I wish that Omar Mboga, the things that they have spoken with the president, that the new MP, Faisal, who has already declared his allegiance to the deputy president, can at least tone down and also talk to the president, the things that the people of Msambweni were promised by the president when Omar Mboga went to see the president, can be able to be done to the people of Msambweni. And also for him to utilize the CDF that is given by the national government for him to be able to develop Msambweni. Remember, CDF alone cannot be able to be enough for the people of Msambweni. So as the campaigns were ongoing, national issues cannot be able to escape the landscape, the political landscape and the political demography that they were in at that time. So I think at that point, the factors or also the issues that made ODM rules are not already about BBI and national government, because a member of parliament is a member at a national assembly, and that is about national issues. So I think the conversation here is not about the BBI issue that made these people rules. The people of Msambweni and to be joined in the conversation, the national conversation, the ongoing conversation, so that they can be able to benefit from national government and also that they can be able to benefit from a rapport that will be created across the nation and across the sectors in government, so that they can be able to bring development and also for the improvement of the livelihoods of the people of Msambweni.
Thank you, Douglas Krimi Bundi in Meru. And of course, I'm informed that we are joined by Professor Jared Onyari and Javan Karanja in Nanyuki. And I'll start with Professor. Good morning, Professor, and welcome back to the show. We are very happy to have you back. Professor Jared Onyari is our senior resident analyst and panelist here on Punchline Africa TV. A very good morning, Professor. Yes, Professor seems to be having some technical hitches there. So I'll cross over and go to Javan Karanja in Nanyuki. A very, very good morning to you, Javan in Nanyuki.
Good morning, Douglas. Good morning, Punchline Africa TV and Daniel Wesonga at our headquarters in Nairobi. Good morning to Professor Jared Onyari. Good morning to my friend Douglas Kirimi. And good morning to our viewers, wherever they are watching this broadcast from. It's a very good morning from this side of Kenya, and thank you for having me on the panel.
Yes, Javan, before you came in, we are having a conversation here, and of course, yesterday, as it were, we had a very, very busy day in terms of the election in Msambweni. The other day, we had the by-election, and of course, yesterday, the conversation was quite robust due to the results that came from Msambweni, and of course, ODM there, which was supposed to reclaim the seat due to the demise of the former MP Suleiman Dori, lost to an independent candidate, Faisal Badel. So we have been having a conversation around that, and of course the heading there today on the Daily Nation newspaper reads that why Ruto beat Raila in key poll, and of course it goes on to say that perhaps the reason why ODM was not able to implode and be able to get back to reclaim that seat is because they mixed up some issues there by talking about the BBI and other national key issues instead of focusing on the local issues that affected this particular segment of the electorate. So I don't know what is your take on that. Douglas says that perhaps that was not the main issue, and it's just maybe the normal way, the dynamics in politics that might have really denied ODM a chance to reclaim that particular seat. What is your take on that?
Thank you very much, Daniel. And when you look at the dynamics of the politics that we have been having in the recently concluded by-elections, you'll see that the people and the electorates who voted, they were more on the issues and the agenda than the ideas that were being sold to them. And the party politics didn't play well. And Daniel, this is something that happens quite often when we have these kind of by-elections. People tend to go there to vote for different issues, unlike when we have a general election where it is easy to mobilize people around parties and their tribal affiliations. And these things don't play well in by-elections. And one thing that I will attribute the win of Fiasa Abdallah, the independent candidate, it was some few mistakes. And this was a member of ODM party, and he was a had a very good working relationship with the late member of parliament from Msambweni. And I think the ODM gave they failed to give that candidate their party ticket, but they went for a weaker candidate per se. And that is why it was easy for Boga to be trashed in that by-election. But that does not say that the ODM party is weak in those areas of coast. We know ODM is still the big party in those areas. And one thing, they made 1 or 2, 3 mistakes, and I feel like they are still working on it, because that MP-elect is still a member and was an ODM party who seeked to have the ODM party ticket to run for in that by-election. Therefore, I feel like the ODM, they underrated, and they thought that the party by itself will sell them and will sell their candidate even to the parliament. And that was a very bad idea, and I think the strategy team of ODM should sit down and look on these issues again. And when you look at the campaign that was being carried out by the governor of Kwale, Salim Mvurya, also played a very vital role on this on the independent candidate to be elected, because we understand Kwale County, Salim Mvurya recamped from and joined Jubilee to 2017, and he was able to see to be re-elected as a governor of Kwale. Therefore, this shows that he is a governor who has the grassroots mobilization skills, a person who has the ground on his side, and he played a very vital role. Therefore, the issue of the governor and the ODM mistake here and there also played a big role. And I agree with Douglas on this. We should not take the national issues, the BBI. Douglas, Daniel, if we happen to have a BBI contest there, you'll see the number of people who vote for BBI will be quite huge. Because as I told you in the beginning, Kenyans now are starting to look on the issues, and if the party fails to make the wiser decisions, then people tend to divert their attention from that, and they go for a candidate who they feel have the touch of the ground. Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Okay, Douglas there and Javan both agree that perhaps it's not because of BBI nor the national issues that were being propagated by the ODM brigade there that led to the loss of that seat to Mr. Faisal Bader, but rather the normal dynamics of politics there. I don't know, Professor, if you've joined us, what do you make of that by-election that happened the other day in Msambweni?
Yeah, I don't have much to say. It's just welcome
back to the show, Professor. It has been quite a long time, and I'm sure our viewers missed your views and your input in this particular show. So welcome back. We're so glad to have you on the show.
Thank you. I'm saying just there's no much deal which we need to read from Msambweni as people are trying to do. It is just a by-elections, and in a by-election, there is poor turnout. That's one of the factors which you need to realize. And in any event, you should not be able to equate national politics to the local politics. The people of Msambweni must decide who is going to represent them. And it is not any party leader and produce come from outside. You go to tell the Msambweni people that they elect this kind of person. They know their people. And one of the things which you need to realize that the Faisal, who has been the MP elect Daniel, he has been a member of ODM until when he sensed that he may not clinch the ticket. That's when he went to to independent. So from where I sit, Faisal is still a member of ODM, and quite a number of people of ODM voted for him, I'm sure, on that fact.
Yes.
And after having made that remark, remember, he was also a CDF manager. And when you are a CDF manager, and when you work in the office of a member of parliament or of a governor, when people come to see the member of parliament whom they meet, it is you. When the member of parliament want to relay the message to the people whom does he leave the information with,
yes,
it is you.
Yeah.
And now, though being a being a relative of the late member of parliament, it also works on him. So there is no way you can equate the national politics the way people are trying to read too much out of it. And to be on the way is that the way the outsiders were carrying themselves. Daniel, when I was growing up and when I was a small boy, you mess me from your area, I will tell you the day I will get you in my home area, you will see. Even in football, there is what we call home advantage. You know that? There are so many supporters, there are so many fans who will cheer you up. Why am I making this one? It was totally unacceptable the way Governor Joe and Governor Kingi were going Kwale to humiliate Mufuri, the governor of Kwale. And even the way they were trying to do, you don't move from your county, you just come and say you are the kingpin. So those kind of dynamics, that kind of arrogance, it did not work very well. Even the Secretary General for ODM, you cannot really accept to use that kind of language against our ladies, our women. So and I know they have been summoned together with the Isa Juma and Sifuna. They will appear before the National Cohesion Commission. Why am I making this kind of fact, Daniel?
Yes.
There are so many blunders which were made, which were working against the candidate for ODM. And remember, Daniel, also the candidate for ODM also, it was also COVID-19. So that one also, it slowed its campaign for almost being away, not to campaign for 14 days. You know what it means.
Yes, but Professor, also if you look at the difference in the margin, it's quite, I would say it's close there, because only a difference of 4,807 votes is not such a big margin, owing to the fact that the number of voter turnout wasn't that quite big.
I'm also giving the facts that one day, 2 hours away from politics, from your active campaign,
yes,
it will do a lot of damage, and the people will use that unfortunate event to position your supporters, even the voters. So those are the kind of dynamics. He was a campaign manager. That was another class. Even when you come to Kibra, Okoth, the Imran was working the CDF office. By virtue, when people come to the CDF office, in fact, when you work in a CDF office, you are a member, you are a substantive member of parliament in that area. Because every other day you walk to the office, when people come to the office, they find you.
Yes.
And I want to tell you that, let me just tell you a very good, do you know Matembe, the regional commissioner for Rift Valley region? He used to be the personal assistant of Mijuki. See how efficient he is. See, like the so-called the interior cabinet secretary, Fred Matiang, he was once a speechwriter and a personal assistant to the Mr. Nyachai. So those dynamics, when people come to see, they come to associate you, you attend to them, you say things will be done, and then that one is a plus. I've also said he was a member, he's still a member of ODM until he feared that he cannot get a clear nomination. And I've proceeded to say The other candidate for ODM was also sick. He was tested COVID positive. He was away for 2 weeks. You know, you have to be isolation for 2 weeks. There's no active. And I know people can use it. And the local politics, the way the other governors were going to humiliate the governor for Kwale, also worked to his advantage. So don't read that it was so and so fast as that one. It was more of local politics than the national politics from my end.
Yeah, yes, fantastic contribution there by our senior resident analyst, Professor Jared Onyari. And for Professor, he thinks that all politics are local, and therefore so many factors rather than the ones that are being propagated by perhaps some section of the political players might have come to play. And of course, we understand that Mr. Faisal Bader was the CDF manager for Msambweni, serving under the late Suleiman Dori, and also the fact that he was an ODM member. A number of party members would have voted for him. And of course, Professor, also that perhaps has come out clearly on the Standard newspaper headline today, which we shall be looking at quite shortly. But before we go to that, let me just read some interesting headline here. And of course, that one has to do with the COVID-19 vaccine, which a majority of Kenyans, I believe, could be waiting for quite anxiously. And the headline says that Kenyans to get COVID vaccine from February. And it goes to say consignment of COVID-19 vaccine is expected in Kenya in January, with the first beneficiaries being groups at high risk of contracting the virus. Health workers, the police officers, the elderly, of course, and teachers will be the first to receive the Oxford University AstraZeneca vaccine to be made available in the first quarter of next year, the government said yesterday. I believe that is some good news for us. It's some good news for our elderly people, our medical practitioners, and other special interest groups. I don't know, Douglas, what is your take on that?
Kenya becomes one of the very first countries in Africa and some other regions in the world to order for the COVID vaccine. And remember, when Kenya is doing that, there are people who in this country who are so unpatriotic, who thought the government is so dumb that they cannot be able to do something like that for Kenya. But I believe the government of President Uhuru Kenyatta has done as well. And when other African countries are still doubting that, the president and his administration have gone ahead and ordered 24 million doses of COVID vaccine. And I think the president has scored there on his enemies. The enemies of the development agenda of President Uhuru Kenyatta. President Uhuru Kenyatta is not only committed to giving us roads, airports, SGR, and every other development. He's committed in protecting our lives as Kenyans and also making sure he has done everything that is humanly possible to be able to propagate good health for us and also help us as Kenyans be able to mitigate the issues around the problems around COVID-19. And I also think at this point in time, as the government of Kenya orders the second batch of COVID-19 dose, Kenyans need to be able to support their president and also support their country. There are Kenyans who I heard say that the last time we shall be able to, the nearest time in future that we can be able to receive this vaccine is 2025 and 2024. But the people who wanted to Kenya to experience that are doomed because the government has outmasked them and also did what is right for the country, and the government has been able to deliver that. And also, I want to commend the government for that, and it is a good thing for us. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Douglas Krimibundi, and maybe just a brief comment from Javan, and of course we shall proceed to Professor, and then we go to the other headlines before we embark on the topic of the day. So Javan, just a quick comment on that.
Thank you very much, Daniel, for that great question. And it's a very progressive move. The world, we say necessity is the mother of all inventions that we have. And because we had a crisis, people have gone out there to try and bring solutions. And that is why we have people working in different fields. And we have seen our scientists do a lot of things to ensure that we have these vaccines. And if the government of Kenya will be among the first governments in the world to to get these vaccines to their people, then that will be a score on the government and its legacy, because the purpose and sole purpose of having the government is for protection of its people, is to ensure that their people are protected. And if they go there to protect the people who are quite endangered with this COVID-19, our healthy practitioners, the elderly people, the teachers, and our police officers, then that will be a score, because after those people getting the vaccine, then it will come to the other common Kenyans, then that will be a score, and we will put this disease at par, and we'll go back to our usual businesses, and the economy recovery strategy of it will be a success. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Javan Karanja in Nanyuki there. And of course, Professor, now the COVID-19 vaccine is here with us, and of course there's light upon the horizon. What is your take on that?
Let me just have this to say, Daniel, that I am extremely a man who believes in God. This is a pandemic in the 21st century, which God has given us a privilege to witness. The other pandemic was the Spanish flu, which was in 1920. It's 100 years from today. And we are reading in history, and COVID-19 has come in our history. If 100 years from today, if God has not come, people who will be living in the world by then, they will be saying that people lived in 2020, there was a pandemic. This is how they managed to navigate. So what I want to say that it's also a privilege for us to see this pandemic.
Yes.
And something good which you need to see out of this pandemic. You have seen how helpless man is, and how the COVID-19 managed to close the world as if it's a small village. And it made our science men and our researchers to think. And those of us who are more religious, we have been on our knees trying to petition God to see what may come out of it. So I'm very proud that God has answered our prayer. And I want to commend that the president of the government of President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, that is trying to do all that it does to avail the vaccine, the vaccine to our country, so that we can be able to attend to our people. Otherwise, I'm glad that God is faithful in answering our prayers. This is a big thing to Kenyan. This is giving people hope. And the way I've said that, I have said this one before, that COVID-19 is here with us, Daniel. It has entered the rig like Ebola. It has entered the rig like HIV/AIDS. It is not going to go anywhere. But what we are trying to do is to learn on how we work with it. And having this kind of vaccine and the government coming forward to make it available. And I've liked that when it comes, it will go to our health workers, which are very risky, and see how the government is thinking about for them, even when they are in this strike. I also want to say that to appeal to the government that they have to sit down and find the way forward. This is a pandemic. This is our country. If money is there, let them just be given. And if money is not there, let them just be given hope that even when the money will be found, you will be given. Let them just be given the personal protective equipment so that they can be able to work. They have said our teachers will also be the next people to get this vaccine. Daniel, this is something good and something positive.
Yes, thank you, Professor Jared Onyari there. And of course, it's a big for Kenya, it's a big for the world, and the rest of us having that vaccine here with us at quite a timely manner. And of course, we proceed to the next headline, that is the Standard today. And of course, Professor Jared Onyari had quite intrinsically talked about this, where Raila Odinga said that this is our man who won in Msambweni. And of course, Douglas also talked about it, but Professor went in depth and talked about the relationship he had with the former Msambweni MP, the late Suleiman Dori, and therefore and how it played in him being able to win that particular vote. But also, apart from that now, let's just focus on another topic here. And here on Standard newspaper, it says that Sonko's glitzy past returns to haunt him. And of course, even today after the show, we're going to be airing those live Senate proceedings where the plenary session is undergoing in order where the County Assembly of Nairobi wants the governor impeachment motion that was held a while back to be confirmed by the Senate of Kenya. And therefore, I just want to get a very brief comment from the panel, and I'll start with you, Douglas Creamy Bundi. Just give a brief comment on what you think the fate that awaits Governor Mike Mbuvi Sonko.
Like I've always said, the son of Kivaguri has been able to do what no one has done in the city of Nairobi. He has historian funds, and we have seen one of the former officers in his administration say yesterday that the bodyguard to Mike Sonko went to our office and also made her to rush to Cooperative Bank and get the money for the trip to New York for the First Lady of Nairobi. That is blatant theft of public funds by Mike Sonko. He stole a lot of money from Nairobi County coffers. And Sonko has been playing games with Kenyans and especially the residents of Nairobi. At this point in time, I can ask the son of Kivanguri to go to Mua Hills as he awaits a prison term. Remember, the son of Kivanguri has already another term in prison that he ran away. He's a fugitive. He ran away in early 1990s and late 1990s, and he was also captured in 2000 and also disappeared again. So he has a former prison term that he needs to go and attend to. And also, as he has stolen over 357 million Nairobi City County coffers, I have no guidance for that branded, corrupt Brady Nairobi County Chief, and he has reached his age of diminishing returns in Nairobi County politics. The evidence that we saw in Senate yesterday cannot be able to send him to prison. The last station he will be sent to is to serve his former prison plus this other term, prison term, so that he can be able to serve his term and the people of Nairobi to get closure. And also, again, as I conclude on this point, so that the people of Nairobi can get their money returned. Sonko has stolen over 357 million shillings. And this is not mere amount of money that you can be able to steal and run away like William Ruto stole 7 billion and said it's only 7 billion we have taken. Sonko has stolen over 357 million shillings, and he has to return that money as he goes to prison. The evidence is there in Senate, is being played live. The unprintables that Sonko has harassed the county and administrators and people who are also very, very, very committed to making Nairobi great. He has stolen a lot of money and also destroyed the dignity and also the decency of his office. So I wish him all the best as he goes to prison.
Thank you, Douglas Creamy Bund. And of course, you have been very consistent and very radical, I would say, about Governor Mike Mbuvi Sonko. But of course, the allegations are out there and it has been put into the public domain. Of course, the clips were being played yesterday. And Javan Karanja, what are your brief comments on this particular proceeding that is about to begin at the top of the hour in the Senate? What do you see happening to the fate of Governor Mike Mbuvi Sonko?
Thank you very much, Daniel, for that question. And we have seen yesterday, I was following the live proceedings from our able Senate, and I could see the evidence that was produced there. And this amounts to gross violation of the office of the governor, and that amounts to impeachment. And I feel like the senators should rise to the occasion and cement what the MCAs of Nairobi Assembly did, and said the governor Mike Sonko home. We also saw some of the clips that could not be played. They were played in camera because the kind of words that the governor uses are unpalatable, and that is not the kind of a leader that we want. Therefore, Daniel, on its own, when you ruin that office and you diminish the office, then and you look like you are not the right person, then you are fit not to be even near that office. And that's exactly what the senator has done, the governor has done. He has ruined and he has lowered the status of a Nairobi CEO office. And the allegations also, you see the amount of money that was taken was quite huge. And Daniel, we have a country and all leaders should be accountable to every penny that they receive from the taxpayers, because that is not their money, and we are not living under the mercies of our leader. We want services to be delivered, and because the governor has failed to do that, let him go home well. And I heard yesterday, and it is in public domain, that he has a prison sentence that is yet to be finished. I wish him well as he goes to finish and to complete his term in jail, and thank you very much.
Quite fantastic view there from Javan Karanja in Nanyuki. And Professor, of course, Governor Mike Mbuvi Sonko has been a man full of controversy. And of course, even his impeachment was marked by a lot of controversy, where MCAs were transported all the way to Voi County, a trip which was sponsored by Governor Mike Mbuvi Sonko. But nonetheless, he was impeached.
Daniel, you know very well that I am one man. Even if I don't like you, but I will stand for you, and I will be with you. Allegations have been put before the governor. He has been impeached now. He is appearing before the Senate. The County Assembly have presented their case. Let us see how he's going to rebuttal. And then let me just hope that the Senate will just stop this the person politics they do.
Yes.
And understand the occasion and be a protector of the county as it is stipulated in the Constitution. But let me just have this to say, Daniel.
Mm-hmm.
You respect our mothers, you respect our daughters, our sisters. Daniel, I'm not with you. And you don't need to be impeached by the County Assembly of Nairobi simply because you have failed Chapter 6 of the Kenyan Constitution, Daniel. You cannot be in position to treat women, our sisters, our mothers, our wives, our daughters, the way Sonko treats and uses a vulgar language. And I'm trying to say, I'm going to watch and see the caliber of the Senate if they will tolerate that kind of language coming from the name of a governor. Hear this, and I'm dealing with him on Chapter 6. How dare you just bring your daughter and say she's a ward rep, and she has never been? And Daniel, your money, my money, taxpayers' money, flies this daughter to New York, he gets a check. That is the highest level of abuse of office.
Mm-hmm.
Leave other things, procurement, you can be able to do those one. You call, is there another evidence that you need, those one, to say, what is he going to say? You call your daughter a ward rep, you use taxpayers' money to fly out to New York, gets a jet and the local transport and spends into a tune of 8 million taxpayers. Daniel, this must be the stop. And I'm watching, keenly watching, on what the senators are going to say about that. And that kind of language is using against people. Do you know, Daniel, again, that up to now, he cannot sign the budget for people to get services, people dying in hospitals, people cannot be paid salaries. He must be stopped. In fact, he was impeached and the impeachment motion confirmed on arrival on the Senate. Even I have liked even what the judge in Duma said. He said that go to the Senate and tell them, yes, I cannot stop them from working. I'm very proud with that county representative, Ogada. That's a very informed man. They were trying to bring side source, but he was up to the point, and he has provided leadership, and this is what we need to do. I hope by the course of the business today, Sonko should be told that now go and be where you belong.
Thank you, Professor Jared Onyari, and those have been the views of our panelists in regards to the plenary session that has been ongoing since yesterday. And of course, today we shall be bringing you the live proceedings from the Senate. And of course, at the end of the day, we shall be able to know perhaps the fate of the embattled Nairobi Governor Mike Mbuvi Sonko. So just before we conclude, I'll just look at the Star newspaper, and the Star newspaper today is just celebrating the Persons of the Year award, the people who are on the forefront to really help the government and the people of Kenya in combating the COVID-19 pandemic. And the headline there is why COVID fighters are the Star Person of the Year 2020. And of course, we wouldn't delve much into that in the interest of time because of the whatever is coming from our Senate at the top of the hour. So I'll just read the people appearing there on the Star newspaper today, and those are Equity Bank CEO James Mwangi, activist and Jerry Migwi, as well as SHOF4 CEO, that is Kennedy Odede, who leads a community-based organization. And that is it for the Star newspaper. Now, for the interest of time, Douglas, we have been able to look at the Msambweni by-election, and therefore the basis of our discussion today, we ask you to give your views. Does Msambweni by-election pick the momentum for the 2022 contest? What do you think it portrays?
No. Msambweni by-election does not how anything about 2022. Remember, by-elections are just that, by-elections. And also remember, like Professor said, Faisal was also a relative of Dori. Many people in Msambweni felt, actually in Kware, when Mr. Juma Boy died, Juma Boy died, the senator for Kware, they felt that the relative, as a relative from that family, has to go and contest that. At this time, the people from Msambweni also felt that now that Dori has passed on, Faisal has been working with him, and also he is also his relative, they need to be able to go and complete the term together. But the people from ODM led by Joe felt that no, this contest has to go on, and we have to make sure that we go and win that. And many factors contributed to that by-election in win for people arrived to Deputy President William Ruto. But at this point, we need to be able to know that Msambweni cannot be able to be used as a litmus test for anything, including BBI or 2022. My position is very clear that this is just a local election, like it was in Lakeview, like it was in Gaturi, like it will be in Huruma, and also in Matungu. This has nothing to do with national elections. Remember, national elections are not something that you can be able to gauge using a small coastal community in Msambweni, constituency in Msambweni. National elections are a serious business that cannot be subjected to something so small into a constituency in Msambweni. So anyone that is celebrating that in 2022, it will be the same as about what happened in Msambweni, they are in for a rude shock. In 2022, it will be a very huge shock for them. And also those people that are also terming it a big contest, let them wait for the referendum on 21st of June 2021. It will be a very different case and a different story, because demographics and even the geography, the political geography and demographics that informed Msambweni cannot be able to inform a BBI or even 2022 election. Thank you.
Yes, fantastic. And of course, Professor Jared Onyari there in his opening remarks said that a day in politics is a very, very long time. And of course, it's just a matter of wait and see. Now we shall go to Javan Karanja just in 2 minutes before Professor comes in and concludes the show for us. Javan, do you think that the Msambweni by-election picked the momentum for 2022 contest, or does it carry any significance in terms of the 2022 presidential elections? Javan? Okay, we shall...
thank you, Daniel.
Okay.
And I would say this. What we have seen is a campaign, and the formula it's talk of this. The campaign that these people allied to Deputy President carried out should also send a signal to other players, because these people, they went there in drones to protect their votes. And that is a kind of thing that I think that people of ODM underrated. But on the issue of whether it is a litmus test for the 2022 contest or the BBA, the ongoing BBA process, I disagree. This is not a litmus test, because what we have seen, the people if Boga did not get anything near 30%, then that is a point would I say, then people from Tangatanga have scored, and in 2022 they had a higher chances of maybe getting to State House. But Boga getting 47% or above 40%, then this shows that, and with all those weaknesses and shortcomings that the ODM did in their nomination and that giving their ticket to Bonga, then it's not a litmus test. It cannot be attributed to what might happen in 2022, because at the end of the day, we have seen in some counties where we have independent governors, but they vote for a particular candidate for president. They vote for MCA from a different party. Therefore, these things happen, Daniel. And from like where I come, in Laikipia County, we have an independent governor, but the senators and the women rep are from Jubilee, because people, they look for an individual who have the interest and who they think will serve them better, not majorly on the issue of the party. And when you have a strong candidate, Daniel, then you have a better chance of winning even in an independent ticket. And that is exactly what happened in Msambweni. The stronger candidate was the independent candidate, and that is how it is. Therefore, it is not a litmus test. In 2022, dynamics will change, because in politics, 1 year and 8 months, Daniel, this is a long period of time. Dynamics will change. Coalitions be formed, parties will change names, they will rebrand themselves, and members will start flopping and changing position and moving to other party from one another. Therefore, we expect a lot of changes, and the dynamics that will be played in 2022 will majorly be determined with the successes and the failure that the BBA process will have. That is from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, Javan Karanja there. And of course, I agree absolutely with you that heading to 2022 presidential election, we're going to see a lot of realignments, and in terms of people shifting sides and all those kinds of things, because that is what is vested in politics. But Professor, ODM lost in Msambweni. They failed to protect, to reclaim their seat, and they lost to a candidate who is hugely perceived to be an ally of the deputy president. Does this gather some dust to put a perspective on the 2022 presidential election?
Daniel, it doesn't. To be very straight and candid, it doesn't. On Tuesday, we were here discussing about the elections in Africa. And we were saying, is it a must that is it necessary that the West should come and observe our elections? And I liked what Dr. Masanga said. In the United States of America, when you are a candidate, the presidential candidate, you prepare 2 speeches. One for conceding and one for winning. Let me tell you, apart from the people who imported bad manners to Msambweni, there was a big win for democracy. Why am I making this one? We saw the candidate for ODM, Boga, conceding defeat. Tell me some of these characters who are talking about 2022, whether they can go and concede. We saw the MB elect Pfizer saying, we're coming the other one now and saying that now we can work together. The elections are over. That is big message. At the end of the day, when people are focusing on 2022, the people of Msambweni have said that we can go for an election, campaign, very emotive, and then we come out to be winners. I like the way Pfizer was carrying his campaign and Boga. Apart from Isa Juma and Sifuna, you are saying who were insulting each other. Did you see these guys insulting each other? Did you see putting propaganda against each other? So democracy has won. And for those who are saying that Msambweni will be what a replica of what will happen, we are having quite a number of by-elections coming in. Let us see how it is going to play out now. And in any event, it has been a very, very learning experience to some of the political parties which are going to participate in the future. So When you are down, Daniel, it does not, you have got the opportunity of rising. When you stand, you don't rise, you are standing. But when you are down, you have got the opportunity of coming up again. I know, and I want to be very sure that the ODM and other political parties which will participate in the by-elections which are coming, they have learned lessons. So even before the lessons of 2022, we have learned the lessons. And as we even go for PPI, we have learned lessons that it is very important that the message you give people resonates with what is people on the ground. I cannot really want to get associated with the kind of the politics of Tanga. Up to now, they are asking for the consensus on PPI. They are going to the funeral saying that they want a consensus, Daniel. The Bible tells us you either be warm or cold. What PPI is calling us, you are either for it or not for it. And if you are not for it, go and poke holes and say that in the future when we will have the opportunity, we do this. So there is no 2022. We have got 2 more years to build this country. The by-election for Msambweni is over. The GAM MP has been elected and he has given a very good gesture. And that's how democracy needs to work. I submit.
Thank you, Professor Jared Onyari. And of course, he has mentioned there's something very important, that if you're running for a political office, then you have to get by your side 2 speeches. That is the winning speech and the defeat, the conceding speech, rather. And that is what gentlemen do. And of course, we saw yesterday that the ODM party came out boldly to concede the defeat in the poll. And they said in their statement, we came up short in Msambweni and Undanyi Mbale, but we regroup and forge ahead. And thanks to all our teams everywhere for the great effort. And I believe that should be the definition of our politics, maturity, and always conceding in honor. And I believe once we are able to do that as a country, then we shall not be having divisive elections which are described by violence and ethnic animosity. So from where we sit, that is a very, very good precedence there by the ODM. And of course, as Professor has said, for the rest of the by-elections, it's only a matter of waiting and seeing. And perhaps that until then, we shall be able to know whether this particular trend has anything to do with the popularity of the opposition party, that is ODM, and the other side of the political divide, that is Tanga. This has been the Good Morning Africa here on Punchline Africa TV, and I have been with me, Sean Wesonga. We are coming to the close of the show, but we are also going to be live from Senate in order to give you the plenary proceedings from the Senate of Kenya in regards to matters, the impeachment of Governor Mike Mbovi Sonko. It has been great having you this morning wherever you are watching us from. Have a blessed day ahead. Until tomorrow, enjoy the rest of your day.